afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to the Global ESCO Network's first webinar in 2025. My name is Søren Lütken, and I'm the chairman of the network, which works for the promotion of energy service companies and energy performance contracting as a prime instrument for countries, businesses, and authorities to unlock the potential for reducing the demand for energy through energy efficiency. Just a sec, I have to be able to move my screen. Here we go. Energy efficiency is not only indispensable for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and preventing runaway climate change, it is also some of the most profitable investments in the energy sector in any context. And that includes also in situations of conflict. And that's what we're looking at. Today, Ukraine joined the Global ESCO network in 2024. And our first webinar this year is focused exactly on the efforts that Ukraine is making to keep an energy system functioning while constantly under attack. An important instrument is the reduction of demand through energy efficiency, but I'm sure we can all imagine the challenges in running a commercial energy service company under the conditions that Ukraine is facing. Our speakers today are from UNEP in Ukraine. It's Anna Zhovtenko, Roman Palahusynets, Serhii Novosolov, and Oleksii Korchmit. And they all have a strong foundation in energy efficiency and ESCOs in Ukraine. We're looking very much forward to hearing the insights on how to develop ESCOs and energy performance contracting under the challenging conditions that they're currently facing. But before I hand over the microphone, allow me a short commercial. On the 7th and 8th of May in Istanbul, the Global ESCO Network and IODER, the Turkish ESCO Association, together are organizing the second International ESCO Symposium, which brings together ESCO's energy efficiency professionals, policymakers, industry leaders, and financiers and energy experts, and highlights the critical role of ESCOs in accelerating the transition to a low carbon and energy efficient future. The symposium will present the latest trends, regulatory frameworks, financing strategies, and success stories in the ESCO market, and highlight how ESCOs can serve as a key catalyst in scaling up energy efficiency projects through both public and private sector investments. It's also designed to create new business and investment opportunities and partnerships through a dedicated business-to-business section. Please check out the program and register your participation at our website, either the global-esconetwork.org or directly at IODER's symposium website at escosymposium2025.com. We're looking very much forward to welcome you in Istanbul, where you would also be able to meet at least some of today's speakers. And now over to today's topic, ESCOs in Ukraine, 8 years of progress and resilience amidst war. Anna, a very warm welcome to you. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear participants and colleagues. I'm honored to start the presentation on the development of the ESCO market in Ukraine from its formation to nowadays. Today, you will be able to learn the peculiarities of the operation of the ESCO mechanism in Ukraine, variety of the technical solutions we practice, financial opportunities provided by UNDP for ESCOs, and finally, you will meet Ukrainian Association of Energy Service Companies, which has recently joined the Global ESCO network. After 4 presentations, we will have Q&A session. I strongly encourage you to post your questions in the special box during the whole event. My name is Anna Zhovtenko. I am a project manager at UNDP in Ukraine. UNDP played pivotal role in establishing and development of the energy service in Ukraine, thanks to the GEF-funded project with the name Removing Barriers to Increase Investment in Energy Efficiency in Public Buildings in Ukraine through the ESCO modality in small and medium-sized cities. This project was active from 2016 till the end of 2024. I would like to begin with highlighting the key drivers behind the establishment of an energy service mechanism in Ukraine. Ukraine inherited an outdated building stock as a legacy of the Soviet Union. Hundreds of thousands of buildings constructed in the mid-20th century with minimal energy efficiency standards created significant opportunities for implementing energy-saving measures and advancing decarbonization efforts. However, the lack of budgetary resources for thermomodernization, coupled with limited capacity within local communities, expedited the search for innovative solutions, ultimately leading to the adoption of the ESCO mechanism. Here you can see the main principle of the energy service mechanism which works in Ukraine. Private investor finances the thermomodernization and/or installation of the distributed generation in public buildings and municipal facilities. After the savings are verified, ESCO receives payments during some years until the entire contract price is paid. In April 2015, the Verkhovna Rada adopted a legislative framework for energy service, followed by the development of secondary legislation. One of the key features of the ESCO mechanism in Ukraine is that payments for public building projects are guaranteed by the Budget Code of Ukraine. This ensured that local authorities are obligated to honor their contracts with ESCOs. Another significant aspect is that all energy service tenders are conducted through Prozoro. This is Ukraine's digital public procurement system, which ensures transparency throughout all the process. The contract price is fixed in Ukrainian hryvnia, and the maximum contract term is 15 years, which directly influences the payback period. According to Prozoro system, as of August 2024, the total of 712 ESCO contracts were concluded in Ukraine since 2015. This allowed to attract 2.6 billion Ukrainian hryvnia, which is almost 100 million US dollars. You can see that this kind of service is popular all over the country. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic and the full-scale invasion significantly impacted the ESCO market in 2020-2022. Many buildings temporarily ceased operations, which disrupted the baseline indicators. This is because the baseline is calculated using consumption data from the past 3 years, which were heavily affected by these events. During the lockdowns and electricity supply shortages, the focus on energy savings and developing alternative energy sources shifted significantly. The decentralization reform has empowered local authorities, enabling them to take responsibility for strengthening community resilience and ensuring sustainable access to electricity. In fact, communities contacted project very often, asking to help with engaging energy service. So in 2022, UNDP, in cooperation with ESCO Association and partner cities in Ukraine, facilitated amendments to the legislation which first of all shortened and simplified the procedure of the procurement of the energy service. On this slide, you can see how complex was the procedure. We managed to exclude several approving steps, which led to decreasing of the duration of the whole process from 9 to 3 months only. This made the engagement of the ESCO the fastest way to install solar power station for community in case they don't have own funds for this. Our team also amended the procedure of the baseline calculation, which allowed to engage the energy service contract to the buildings which were suspended or underheated. The most impactful solution for a country at war was the piloting of renewable energy installations by ESCOs. In fact, based on the energy audits and pre-feasibility studies, we initiated piloting of 5 different kinds of ESCO contracts. First is classic thermomodernization. Second, installation of the solar power plants on hospitals and water facilities. The third one is street lighting. Fourth, a modernization of the pumping system at water facilities. And finally, the fifth is the co-financing modality, which we call enhanced partnership. All these efforts led to recovery of the ESCO market, and in 2024, as you can see at this slide, 100 contracts were launched, and preparation work for many more has been done, because after we conducted study tours to the finalized pilots in September 24, more and more communities requested support in developing tender documentation for ESCO procurement. Now, I thank you very much for your attention, and I pass the floor to Roman Palahusynets, who is ESCO engineer analyst at UNDP and who knows all the technical details of this mechanism.
Thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. Today I will share how the ESCO market in Ukraine has developed over the past 8 years, even during the war. We will talk about the public ESCO procurement, energy efficiency technologies, ESCO pilot projects, investments, challenges, and new opportunities in Ukraine's energy sector. First of all, I would like to explain the specifics of the ESCO market in Ukraine. Anna already told about the ESCO legislation and how budget code guarantees payments for the ESCO. So in Europe, the municipality usually finances the energy efficiency measures, while the ESCO company conducts energy audits, makes energy certificates, and guarantees energy savings. So in Ukraine, the ESCO model is different. 100% of the investment comes from the ESCO company, often from its own funds. How does ESCO work in Ukraine? Let's say municipality wants to increase energy efficiency in public buildings, for example, hospital. So the municipality needs to announce a public ESCO tender in the ProZorro system. The tender documentation includes the building's address and its baseline energy consumption. The baseline is the average energy consumption from 2 years, 2019 and 2021. So why we choose these 2 years? COVID-19 and the war changed energy use in buildings, make some savings unrealistic. So in 2023, we changed the law to exclude abnormal years and make ESCO projects more attractive. So let's come back to the ProZorro system. So after announcing, the ESCO company finds the tender in ProZorro and negotiates with the municipality for a technical site inspection. After the inspection, the ESCO company submits an energy efficiency proposal through the ESCO. Since the tender is open, multiple ESCO companies submit their proposal. After that, the pre-qualification process happens. Then, after this process, the auction begins. And here is the most interesting part. So, ProZorro system does not choose the winner bidder through the lowest price. Wins that company that suggests most energy savings in the shortest time. After the auction, the winner signs the EPC contract with the municipality. So what happens after the contract is signed? The ESCO company invests its own money in the technical design, equipment, and installation. After installation, the ESCO company manages and maintains the system for up to 15 years. After maintenance and potential repairs are the ESCO company's responsibility under the contract. So how do municipalities pay for a ESCO? Let's take a hospital as an example. The ESCO company modernizes the hospital, let's say making installation facades, replaces windows, install the individual heating substation, etc. So the hospital after that have the saving energy every month. So the hospital pay the ESCO company from energy savings over the period of contract. After the contract ends, the hospital owns all the new equipment for free and keeps 100% of savings. So why is it important for Ukraine, especially today? After the war started, city budgets were reduced. There is almost no money for municipality energy efficiency in projects. So ESCO allows city to modernize their buildings without upfront cost. So now I would like to share what energy efficiency measures were proposed by ESCO in 2024 and why. First of all, since ESCO companies invest their own money in energy modernization, the payback period of energy efficiency measures is very important for them. Most ESCO investments focused on energy efficiency measures with a payback period of up to 5 years. So there are 5 main types of energy efficiency projects implemented under ESCO company. The first one, there is the individual heating substation in public buildings. So there is the next one, LED modernization of street lighting networks. Then the pump modernization for water utilities. And the last one, there is the solar power plants for hospitals and water utility. As you see, more than 100 EPC contracts have been signed in 2024, totaling over $24 million. So this proves that municipalities and businesses trust the ESCO model and are ready to invest in energy efficiency. So let's take a look about the EPC project concerning thermal modernization. So 47 EPC contracts were signed in 9 cities in 2024 to upgrade heating systems. Measures include installation of individual heating substation and efficiency improvements. So cities are seeing up to 35% of energy savings over to 10 or 15 years. The photo shows insulated kindergartens 2 years ago in Ukraine. Let's take a look at another ESCO model, which is called ESCO solar power plant. And what is important as of today, because you know that during full-scale invasion, we lost more than 50% of electricity generation in Ukraine. So the government and also the president of Ukraine adopt a special legislation and a special decree which stimulate the municipalities to develop distributed generation projects. Now, the municipalities have the, let's say, 5 different financial models how they can involve and build the solar power station. First, it can be the own funds from municipality, that can be government program 579, that is also can be the grant aid or the loans from the international organization. There is also can be the funds from the decarbonization fund in Ukraine. And the last one, there is also the ESCO. So in 2023, UNDP launched ESCO project for solar power plants for hospital and water utility. Why we choose only hospital and water utility? That is because these facilities consume electricity all around a year, including during summer when solar panels generate the most energy. Unfortunately, schools and kindergartens do not operate in summer, so they cannot efficiently use the electricity from solar power plants. So, as you see, 50 EPC contracts have been already signed for solar power plants, but 50 fully implemented. The remaining 35 projects are currently in the design phase and will be built this year. This project helps reduce dependence on the national grid, especially during blackouts. Thanks to ESCO company, nearly 7 MW of solar power plants and 1 MWh of energy storage system will be built with the total investments of $16 million. So let's take a look at some cases of solar power plants in Ukrainian municipalities. So there is the city in Truskovets, there is the western part of Ukraine, a hospital where ESCO company was installed solar power plant with a capacity of 100 kilowatt. The contract price was the $160,000. and the term of ESCO contract was the 14 years. So this solar power station can generate 87,000 kilowatts per year and saves more than $40,000. So there is another EPC pilot, which is UNDP support in Ukraine last year. In the city of Chornomorsk, there is near the Odessa. So the ESCO contract was signed with the capacity of solar power plant 450 kilowatt and 150 kilowatt hour of energy storage. So the expected savings per year is $78,000. So the contract price was $1 million. Of course, if we calculate the price per kilowatt, it seems twice as high as the market price. But we need to understand and remember that the ESCO company are responsible for maintaining of solar power plant for 15 years. And also, what is important to say that in Ukraine we have a unique ESCO model called the Enhanced ESCO Partnership. This means that municipalities and ESCO companies can co-finance an ESCO project together. In this case, the future savings are shared between the city and the ESCO company depending on the depth of energy efficiency measures. So in this slide you can see on the left side the classical model when 100% of the savings go to the ESCO company. And the right side you can see the enhanced model where savings can be split 50-50 between the e-city and the ESCO company. But however, only 5% of projects in Ukraine currently use this model. So let's take a look at one of our enhanced ESCO pilot in Ukrainian city, which is called Kryvyi Rih, which is located 100 kilometers from the front line. So many communities receives solar panels as a grant aid, but lack of funding for additional equipment and installation. Under the enhanced ESCO partnership model, ESCO companies can finance these works. So how it works in Kryvyi Rih pilot? The city received solar panels in 2023 as part of a grant program from Germany, but they do not have enough funds for technical design and installation. So municipality announced the ESCO tenders for this work and signed an EPC where savings were shared 70% to ESCO company and 30% for municipality. So these three ESCO pilots was already implemented and installed, and we expect to have the savings from 10% to 24% annually, and amounting to up to $30,000 per year. So also we have a special model which is called the ESCO Street Lighting. So as of today, 3 EPC contracts have been signed in Ukraine for the modernization of street lighting. In these projects, ESCO company replaced old lamps with the new LED one, and 2 contracts were implemented in 2020 and 2021, and electricity savings reached nearly 30% per year. So the next energy efficiency technology, which is used to be implemented as a company in Ukraine, there is the pump stations in the water utility. This is a relatively new model for Ukraine. Last year, with the support of UNDP, were concluded 3 contracts on replacing old pumps with new ones and installed an energy management system. So this system is expected to save up to 50% of electricity per year. So we will verify the technical results in 1 year, and if the savings are confirmed, we can scale up this model to all water utility in Ukraine. So now let's talk about the current challenges. So now we identify 3 main challenges, but we know a little bit more. But let's concentrate about these three challenges. So the first one, there is the military mobilization of men. The second one, there is the risks of ESCO project destruction due to the war. And the third, there is the limited access to affordable finance for ESCO companies. So what we see the solutions of these challenges? So when we talk about the military mobilization challenge, UNDP has launched the first training programs on solar station installation for veterans and women. So the second challenge is there is the risk of project destruction. So now we have, let's say, two strategies when we can use it. So the first one, the ESCO company can insure their equipment. And the second one, there is the option when municipalities reimburse the ESCO companies for destroyed equipment. So the last one, the last challenge for us, there is the access to financing. So why it is important? As you may remember, in Ukraine we have more than 100,000 public buildings and more than 3,000 water utility facilities. So currently ESCO projects cover only 1%. So we need to scale up ESCO for making and getting the affordable finance. So with this mind, I'm happy to pass the floor to my colleague Serhii, who will introduce the ESCO fund launched by UNDP and the decarbonization fund's support for ESCO financing. So Serhii, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Serhii Novosolov. I'm a green financial mechanism specialist at UNDP and Ukraine. And during the next 12-15 minutes, I will tell you a short story about the implementation and deployment of the first financial mechanisms related to ESCO support in Ukraine. So, let's please start with the question why the financial mechanisms are needed. Actually, during the period of project implementation and numerous discussions with the National Bank of Ukraine, local banks, and of course representatives of local ESCO market, we have indicated three main barriers on the way of ESCO companies to access to finance. First of all, it's absence of the sufficient collateral. Due to the specific of ESCO companies, actually in Ukraine and even worldwide, typically ESCO companies are, let's say, the holders of engineering knowledge, special ideas, and some know-hows. They have no huge fixed assets, ships, trains, big buildings, etc. So whenever they would apply to obtain a loans from the bank, the sufficient collateral will be needed, and it's a barrier. The second one is the high interest rates in national currency. Actually, we have a war. Ongoing war at the territory of Ukraine, the risks are high, and even during the last 5-7 years, the local banks provided loans with relatively high interest rates, up to 15-17% on annual basis in local currency, which is not so feasible for some financial and business models. And the last but not least, lack of awareness and understanding of ESCO model among local banks. Typically, according to our discussions with local banks, up to 80% of local banks representatives have no clue on how ESCO model should function. That is a business that generates cash flow, and in principle it could be interested. So after indicated barriers, we have proposed the solutions on how to overcome these barriers. And first of all, the first solution is a guarantees or sub-guarantees issued by some financial companies or government just to cover the barrier with absence of the sufficient collateral. The second one is softening of loans, is reducing of interest rates for loans provided by ESCO companies, which makes the cash flow and loan burden a bit lower. The third one is trainings and awareness raising both for ESCO companies and local banks representatives and joint events to communicate that ESCO model is a business, it's profitable business, and the representatives of ESCO companies can obtain loans. As a solution, we have created a specific financial mechanisms. Actually, two I will describe both in the next slides. But what is a financial mechanism? First of all, I would say that it is a set of documents and rules which provides a clear description of roles and actions did by each actor or each partner. The financial mechanism created by some project should be sustainable. It should be active after the project interventions and project activities will be finished. The financial mechanisms should have a demonstration effect to provide us with a clear results and achievements, and it should be replicable, easy to be followed within the country or even on international level. During the project implementation and deployments of the first pilot financial mechanisms for ESCO companies in Ukraine, we indicated that blended finance is a key for successful financial mechanism implementation. First of all, blended finance allows us to multiply the small interventions or investments provided by some partners and to catalyze the market effects. Actually, it was a case with UNDP when we have started with relatively small amounts of money provided for two partners, and they partners multiplied this money by 10, 15, even 20 times with own contributions, guarantees, and providing the loans. The second issue is each party doing its own interventions with clear description. It was also our case with our partners when the roles, interventions, and amounts to be provided, guarantees to be provided by certain partners and UNDP were clearly described. And the most attractive things and different tools could be used for different cases. So blended finance provides us with applicability and flexibility of financial mechanism. I mean, in case, for example, some ESCO company has a sufficient collateral, no need to obtain guarantees. Or, for example, some bank could provide a relatively good interest rate to ESCO company, so there is no need for soft loans. So all of these, let's say, pillars of blended finance, like guarantees, softening of loans, and grant support and grant components could be used in different cases and make the financial mechanisms flexible. So, moving forward to the description of both financial mechanisms and implementation partners to deploy these financial mechanisms for local ESCO companies in Ukraine. The first one is affordable finance facility. We call it ESCO fund. The implementing partner is Business Development Fund in Ukraine, a specific state-owned financial institution which actually manages numerous governmental investment programs with a total portfolio, if I'm not mistaken, around 7 billion euro at the moment. So we have a reliable financial partner who is acting as ESCO fund manager. UNDP concluded a contract with this partner and transfer some small portion of money for pilot projects implementation. The BDF, ESCO fund manager, provides a partial loan compensation, like a grant component provided by UNDP. Also, they issued a loan guarantees. They have a right to issue a guarantees to cover the risks for local banks. And the third component of this blended finance provided by the BDF is a partial interest rate compensation for ESCO companies through a governmental loan program 579. 579, it's indication of actual interest rate to be provided to certain company. The BDF acted through numerous local partner banks. They have a network of more than 51 banks, and actually 3 local banks were selected as a partners, and the loans were provided for ESCO companies. The final conclusion on the risks, etc., to provide a loan should be made by the local bank, but should be also discussed and supported by the BDF as a financial partner and main ESCO fund manager. The second financial mechanism piloted during the project implementation, called Finance Support Mechanism, and was implemented in partnership with National Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine. Actually, the first efforts in development and deployment of this financial mechanism were concentrated on establishing and licensing a special financial state-owned company. UNDP provided a capacity building and technical expertise to select the first pilot projects. The National Decarbonization Fund provided a soft loans to ESCO companies, partially covered by UNDP interventions and partially covered by specific governmental programs. And here we had a specific tool which supported ESCO in technical and financial issues, which called special ESCO help desks. This slide actually demonstrates the differences between the finance mechanisms established by UNDP in Ukraine during this project implementation. So, for affordable finance facilities, the maximum loan period was up to 5 years. Finance support mechanism provided the loans up to 10 years. Interest rate provided by the affordable finance facility was in range between 7 and 8%, and finance support mechanism proposed 3% only. The additional benefits provided by the partners from the side of Business Development Fund, there were portfolio guarantees provided to ESCO companies to overcome the barrier with sufficient collateral. At the same time, the National Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine supported the finance support mechanism with collateral options tailored to the company and project. Who was issuer the loan? In case with affordable finance facility, the loans were issued and provided by the local partner banks. Actually, there were 3 local partner banks in Ukraine. And in case with finance support mechanism, the loans were issued by joint stock company Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine directly. Use of funds, the Affordable Finance Facility proposed a loan tenure compensation up to 20%, which were fully covered by the interventions by UNDP, and Finance Support Mechanism just provided direct loans. The partner contribution into financial mechanism development and creation from the side of Business Development Fund and Affordable Finance Facility was a subsidization of the interest rates plus portfolio guarantees, and for finance support mechanism from the side of National Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine, it was a soft interest rate and let's say softer requirements for the collateral from the side of local ESCO company. And as the end of the story, we came to the results as of today. We have relatively good results for both financial mechanisms piloted by UNDP in Ukraine and related to ESCO support in Ukraine. So, for affordable finance facility, as of today, we have 17 projects applied for financing and could be considered as a hard pipeline, with a total project cost of around 120 million hryvnias, which is close to $3 million. As of today, 7 projects were supported and financed by Affordable Finance Facility and started the implementation with a total project cost close to $1.5 million, and the total amount of grant support provided by the facility to local ESCO companies is close to 8 million hryvnias or 180,000 United States dollars. For finance support mechanism, our national partner, National Decarbonization Fund, pre-selected 13 projects which could be treated as a hard pipeline with a total project cost close to 40 million hryvnias, and it's close, according to the exchange rate as of today, to $1 million. So we are going to develop these financial mechanisms, and in principle, at the moment we are in negotiations with donors and funds on how to make it, let's say, more sustainable, scalable and bigger. And thank you for your attention. Would be happy to answer your questions, and I'm passing the floor to my colleague Oleksii Korchmit, who has a vast experience in local ESCO market. Oleksii, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Oleksii Korchmit, and I am happy to be here today. I'm a head of the board of Ukrainian Energy Service Companies Association, which helps cities and companies save energy and to implement renewable energy projects. Today, I will tell you about ESCO Association Ukraine, our progress, challenges, and future plans. I will also share how we keep going even during difficult times in Ukraine. We help improve energy laws and create better financial tools. We support new technologies and work with investors. Our main goal is to make Ukrainian more energy efficient and energy independent. Right now, we have 34 ESCOs in our association. We have been working in Ukraine for 7 years. Our projects have involved around $30 million in investments. We have trained local authorities and businesses in 332 seminars across 25 regions. This helps more people understand EPCs and use it to save energy. Ukraine has a great potential. Around 90,000 public buildings that need energy modernization. The total investment potential is around 13 billion euros. We need more private investment to make this project happen faster. Prospective energy efficiency measures in Ukraine. It's very interesting because Ukraine has great potential for energy efficiency and green transition projects and to improve it. For example, we need solar power plants in public buildings and in critical infrastructure, to implement heat pumps to reduce gas consumption, build modern biomass and gas boiler houses, wind power plant and cogeneration systems. Ukraine wants to work with energy service companies from other countries. We need more access to international financing, including our decarbonization fund. We are looking for foreign investors who want to support energy efficiency and green projects in Ukraine. We are also happy to share our experience to other countries. Energy service companies are helping Ukraine to save energy, reduce costs in public buildings and critical infrastructure, and stay resilient. Even during war, we keep moving forward and growing the market. We believe that international cooperation will help us do even more. Thank you for your time. I would be happy to answer your question.
Thank you very much, everybody, for the presentations. most interesting to listen to, and I'm really impressed with the advanced state of the ESCO market in Ukraine, despite the challenges that Ukraine is facing. I would like you four speakers to switch on your cameras so that we can have a more lively dialogue and also with our participants when our audience. This is not for the audience. You don't need to switch on your cameras. But we have a few questions that have been submitted that I would like to share. They're not really, well, apart from one that is addressed to Anna, they are more generic questions. So feel free to chip in, all of you, on any of the questions that we have received. But the first question is for Anna. It says here that you stated that the EPCs have been procured through Prozoro. So what is the evaluation methodology when using Prozoro? Lowest price, net present value, or life cycle costs?
Thank you very much for this question. Two values which are submitted via Prozoro is the level of savings, the percentage of savings which will be delivered by the EPC, and the overall price of the contract, which is then fixed. So this is two figures, two indicators which are tendered at the Prozoro for energy service contracts. Colleagues, if you want to provide more details, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah, colleagues, maybe I can add something. I'm already told that the winner bidder through the Prozoro system, there is the automation module which is calculate the winner without with the two principles. So the wins that company who produce and who propose most savings and shortest time of implementation. So this is two main things.
Thank you very much. There's a question here which looked like it's actually well related to the same topic, because how do you avoid, when you have this evaluation model, how do you avoid cherry picking, meaning to take the absolute shortest payback time technologies, but to leave other interventions aside? How do you prevent that?
So colleagues, may I have the answer?
Please,
so
please, Roman.
As you know, this is the public procurement system, and all around Ukraine's ESCO company could take the suggestions and technical solutions after the inspection of the building. So many of companies could provide some short energy efficiency measures like individual heating substation, but another one could provide installation of facades, replace the windows, and this company could win because this company provides more saving, more percentage of saving. So this company could win. Yeah.
So it's in the tender, is that correct?
So, yeah. So the evaluation of the savings made it by the special automation module in Prozoro, because all ESCO company provides the energy efficiency measures and the percentage of savings that could provide with these technical solutions.
Okay, so the technical solution is predefined. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
because after inspection, the ESCO company provides the list of energy efficiency measures, the percentage of savings, the term of EPC contract, and some calculations with the price, with the total price of ESCO contract. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The solar power projects, are they also including energy efficiency measures, or are they only solar power projects?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Can I answer? Yeah. So colleagues, I would say that when ESCO company suggests their energy efficiency measure, when municipality wants the solar power station, they just implement a solar power plant. But we have, I think, 1% of EPC project in Ukraine, which is include not only solar power plant, but also some energy efficiency measures like individual heating substation. I remember that it could be 2 or 3 EPC contracts in Ukraine which have some complex energy efficiency measures with solar power plants. But usually municipality announce a tender with the baseline of energy consumption of electricity. So it means that the ESCO company need to provide energy efficiency measures, which is decrease the electricity consumption. Yeah, so it means that the ESCO company need to provide the solar power plant. But these 50 EPC contracts, which is related to the solar power plant, usually on-grid stations. So this is the specific station which is unfortunately do not work during blackouts. Yeah, we need more energy efficiency and more renewable energy project, which is including the hybrid solar power plant with the energy storage systems. So when we say about the EPC and our projects in Ukraine, from these 15 EPC contract of solar power plants, we have only, let's say, 5% of hybrid solar power station. 95% it is on grid.
I wanted to add the answer from Roman also that, of course, in general, the energy provided from the solar power station is the substitution for the fossil fuel produced energy. But for the municipality, for this facility itself, this is savings in terms that they will use the energy from this station instead of the energy from grid. And this is also not only the climate change mitigation measure, but for Ukraine now, it's also the kind of adaptation measure and resilience, the installation of distributed generation, which allows, for example, hospitals to continue working during blackouts, to provide services with non-stop services if there are some shortages of the electricity in the city.
Thank you. I have a question here from the Swiss ESCO Association. I guess that goes to Oleksii. What experiences exist in cooperating with ESCO associations in other countries? The Swiss ESCO here is interested in finding out what examples from multilateral cooperation models exist.
Thank you very much for your question. Unfortunately, we don't have any experience to cooperate with other association of ESCOs, unfortunately, and I will hope to change this bad situation, because we need to have some experience from other countries, from other associations, other energy service companies to in the future, maybe now to change our experience, to have some experience about to use some financial instruments, to use some international funds for investments. And it will be interesting for us, including trade and leasing and the different loans for ESCOs from different banks, for example, or other technologies to improve our technologies, or to add some technologies in energy performance contracts in Ukraine, for example, and to share our experience in Ukraine, because I think so that we have good experience for last 9 years during these difficult times for Ukraine, as you understand us. And I hope to to use some experience from other countries and other companies, foreign companies, and maybe we will be happy to take part in second symposium of ESCOs, which will be held in May this year in Istanbul, with UNDP project and as association of ESCO in Ukraine. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Oleksii, and we look very much forward to seeing you in Istanbul. That goes for all of you, of course. I have a question here. I think that must be to Serhii. If you compare AFF and FSM offers better conditions and longer tenures, but is only financing a third of the ESCO projects. What is the reason for that?
In principle, the finance support mechanism was, let's say, a big delay with administrative troubles, because when we have started this mechanism together with the Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine, we have to organize, let's say, a completely new state-owned finance company, specially dedicated to this mechanism, as well as for decarbonization of numerous projects in Ukraine. So it should pass through the local Ministry of Regional Development, Cabinet of Ministers, etc., etc., etc. So the implementation of next portion of projects was delayed for at least a couple of months. That was the reason, in simple words. Thank you.
Yep, if I can add, considering that this Decarbonization Fund of Ukraine is collecting the CO2 tax payments, so we hope that during this year and next years there will be much more contracts that will be supported by this mechanism. Hopefully we will report it later.
Thanks. I have another question here, which I have to admit I simply don't understand myself, but I hope maybe you will be able to address the question, which is: can model contracts be migrated to tokenization to make the transactions of the mechanism efficient and in real time? Any takers on that one?
Can you read it one more time, please?
I can read it again. I will read it slowly. Can model contracts be migrated to tokenization to make the transactions of the mechanism efficient and in real time? If not, I would discuss it here in house and see if anyone would be able to respond, and we will figure out where the question came from. We will respond to.
We will try to discuss internally, and then we'll respond somehow in written form, hopefully, yes, because it's about the transactions and mechanism. I would suggest it was related to financial mechanism, but tokenization and real-time scene is something relating to I don't know, bitcoins, etc. So we have to discuss with colleagues.
Yeah, I'm thinking blockchain and stuff, but
I think, colleagues, I have a guess that maybe there is the question about the possibility to sell the upcoming payments for the EPC contracts, as it's done in some countries, like when the savings are verified. In Ukraine now it's not possible to sell these upcoming payments to anyone, but in fact we are well aware of this potential opportunity. We are discussing this with our National Bank of Ukraine, and hopefully in future there will be possibility to sell this already verified contracts, the payments, future payments for the already verified contracts, and receive payback faster for the ESCOs to be able to invest. But that was my guess.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. We will investigate further and distribute an answer on this. I have one last question here, which is a very simple one, or maybe not, but it relates to how do banks assess financing risks on ESCOs? And I guess it's given the current Ukrainian context, and we have heard about guarantees and built into the contracts. And
in principle, in case you are aware about standard, let's say, scoring banking models, they are using the same, but considering the war risks, etc. It's standard models which could be applied to any legal person who is trying to get the loan from the local bank. And in principle, the risks are the same. The model is well described, so they're evaluating the financial standings of the company and assessing, let's say, the payback on the energy efficiency measures provided with this ESCO project, plus some previous history of the company, as in principle it's doing worldwide for such type of loans. So no, let's say, a big peculiarity is considering the war local risk in evaluation of ESCO companies. It's standard business, well described here in Ukraine, and hopefully well known after the project implementation to the local banks, because we had the numerous awareness raising companies and numerous training for local financial institutions. So they know exactly how it functions, and it's pretty standard banking product for a business, like for any legal person who is applying to standard loan. Thanks a lot.
thank you very much. I have no more questions on my list here. And any one of you wants to chip in with final comments? If
I want to say thank you very much for inviting us today and making it possible to present these achievements worldwide. We are very glad that the topic is interesting, and we hope very much that this webinar will initiate the cooperation between Ukrainian ESCO Association with other ESCO associations, with international partners, international organizations, and hopefully international companies will consider entering Ukrainian ESCO market. We are ready to provide any needed support, consultation. Please reach us. You have our emails in the presentation. Reach us with questions, and we will be very happy to continue cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your contributions here today and for your interventions. We are very happy to have you on board, also the ESCO Association in Ukraine. And we, as I said, look very much forward to seeing you in Istanbul and to collaborate with you, promoting ESCOs, the ESCO model in Ukraine and elsewhere. So we are happy to have you on board. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us today. That is the end of the first webinar in 2025 from the Global ESCO Network. Please stay tuned. We have a program of webinars for the rest of the year. And of course, we have the second International ESCO Symposium in May, where we also hope to see as many of you as possible. Thank you very much. Over and out from Copenhagen.
Thank
you.
you both.
Have a nice day. Bye.